It's time for The Clash. The King's coronation conundrum has rumbled on this week, with the Sussexes' attendance proving a never-ending headache for the palace. The King and Prince of Wales are said to be working together on the matter. However, while Charles desires unity, William is still understandably furious over his brother's vicious attacks against him. One plan, reportedly in the works, dubbed Operation Harry in a Hurry, Harry in a Hurry, got that confused, would see the Duke whisked in and out of Britain for just 48 hours. But the King is now being warned that if Harry attends alone, it could add further fuel to Meghan's anti-palace fire. So, with the royal family in a perpetual crisis over the Sussex situation, what's the best case scenario? So we're going to give you three options here. Number one, that Prince Harry attends the coronation alone. Number two, that the toxic Sussexes are forgiven for their attempts to bring down the monarchy and are able to attend together. Number three, neither of them allowed anywhere near this historic occasion. We've got a poll running on this at GBNews on Twitter. The results shortly, but to help you make up your mind, and each of our guests tonight backing one of those positions, Editor-in-Chief of Majesty magazine, Ingrid Seward, US royal commentator Kinsey Schofield, and the entertainment correspondent Rebecca Twomey. So, Kinsey, I'm going to start with you because you're the toughest on this, aren't you? You say you don't want Harry or Meghan there. You want them to stay in your neck of the woods.
That's right. I think that if we look at the abdication of Edward VIII, he was basically exiled. He continued to try to disrupt the royal family behind the scenes and undermine them. But the royal family, they kept their distance. They focused on their core, and it ultimately strengthened the brand. I think that the royal family should do the same with Harry and Meghan. I think they're very destructive. If you would have asked me a year ago, I wouldn't have had the same opinion. But their actions as of late, it's changed perception of Harry and Meghan, not only in the States, but globally. So I do think that they should stay at home, that they're a distraction, and they're very destructive towards specifically William and Catherine.
Ingrid Seward, you're not quite as tough as that. I mean, I have to say, I'm with Kinsey. I don't want either of them there. But you think this Harry in a hurry plan is a good one, Ingrid? Just have Harry come in quickly and then leave, no Meghan?
Well, the whole point is that the coronation is a religious ceremony. The crowning and anointing of a king. That king is Harry's father. He has to be there. He is commanded. The invitation says, by command of the king. The Earl Marshal is requested to invite you. Now, Harry, for all his bravado and all his snipes at his family, and in particular his brother, I don't think that he is brave enough or would even want to turn down that kind of invitation. And I think that they should both come. I'm not saying I like the idea, but I think they should. I think they should both come. They should behave. I think they will be completely overawed by the whole ceremony, by the whole weekend. And I think they will keep quite quiet. No one will be interested in them disrupting anything because we'll all be overawed by this amazing ceremony. And I know that 78% of people really don't want them here, but it's not up to us. It's really up to Charles the King.
Rebecca Twomey, you go totally the other way, and you actually think both these disruptors should be at the coronation. You want both Harry and Meghan there. Why? Why? They're just going to cause chaos, aren't they?
Well, it's going to cause chaos whatever happens, Dan. And I think the main thing is, with Meghan, whatever she does or doesn't do seems to cause an awful lot of offence. If we just remember during Spare Harry's controversial autobiography, let's call it that, Meghan was nowhere to be seen. There were lots of headlines saying, where was she? She's not supporting him. So if Meghan doesn't make it to the coronation, there'll be lots of, she's got it against the royal family. She can't let bygones be bygones and move on. I think it's going to put the attention in the wrong direction. And it should really just be on King Charles and the coronation and a positive celebration. Because whatever Meghan does, everyone's going to attack her. So it might just be better if she comes.
Kinsey, I just don't buy that, though. I don't buy that because if they're here... Right, if they're here for those days of the coronation, or even if Harry's here, what is going to dominate the coverage? What's the body language like between William and Harry? Where do they sit? Does William shoot him an evil stare? Do they try and hijack the official formalities by staging their own walkabout like they wanted to do, by the way, after the late Queen's funeral, or before the late Queen's funeral, but actually William and Kate stepped in quite rightly and said, hang on a moment, no, you're not going on a walkabout on your own. We will accompany you. I don't trust them, Kinsey. I don't trust them not to try and turn the coronation into their own publicity fest.
Remember the candlestick? We were all engrossed with the placement of the candlestick at the Queen's funeral because it was conveniently placed right in front of Meghan Markle's face. No, I think you're right. It's not just that, Dan. It's not just what happens at the coronation. It's 6 months later. It's 12 months down the line when season 2 of Harry and Meghan comes out, when chapters 473 of Spare, volume 97 come out. It's the idea that this should be a celebration for King Charles. He's waited his entire life for this. And, you know, everybody around them is going to be nervous about what they say and what they do because they don't want their thoughts, their words or their actions exposed by two people that can't keep a secret.
How do you justify that? Because I actually think what Kinsey's just said, Ingrid's just dropped out, Sally, but I actually think what Kinsey just said is very, very accurate because we actually now have categorical proof, Rebecca, to me, that they will do that. In Spare, Harry actually quoted directly from a conversation that he had with then Prince Charles, now King Charles, in the hours after Charles had buried his father, Prince Philip, and he quoted him word for word. That stinks, Rebecca, and how on earth can any member of the royal family ever trust having a private conversation with Harry again after that?
Yeah, and Dan, I'm not going to debate that. I'm not going to debate that sense of betrayal. What I would say is let's remember Prince Andrew and let's just put things in perspective a little bit. What Harry did and what Prince Andrew did, the shame he's put on his family, they're not comparable. So I think Prince Andrew can't escape this. But one thing about
Prince Andrew won't be on the balcony, Rebecca, to me. He ain't going to be on the balcony, Prince Andrew.
No, he's not. But one of the things with the royal family is that they're trying to modernise, they're trying to appeal. And lots of people, and I understand why they say this, is that Meghan and Harry have actually trashed that. But what's happening is as the royal family modernise, they've become more like celebrities. They're more icons. And what comes with celebrity is headlines, is drama, is the analysis of a candle being placed in a certain way. And Meghan Markle is a glamorous, attractive, controversial woman. And that's what people like to talk about, whether we like it or not. The narrative...
That doesn't mean he has the right to talk about private conversations that have happened between her and Kate Middleton. That doesn't, she is glamorous. She is beautiful. Nobody's debating that. That doesn't mean she can be a backstabber. I mean, I understand what you're saying. We're all going to talk about Meghan Markle. That doesn't justify her behavior. Their behavior is absolutely ludicrous and uncomparable to Prince Andrew because Prince Andrew isn't going on TV going, I'd love to tell you about the secret text I had with Kate.
Yeah, indeed. Ingrid, Seward, do you want to weigh in on that? Because we've got her back.
I lost you for a minute. You're talking about Prince Andrew now?
Yeah, we're talking about Kinsey's making the point that actually the thing with Prince Andrew, while he's not going to be on the balcony, he hasn't broken any trust with the other members of the royal family. He's not publishing private conversations had between King Charles and Prince Harry in the hours after his father's funeral, which I just thought, I have to be honest, Ingrid, I thought it was probably the most grotesque moment of Spare, and there's many of them, as we know.
I told you, when he was talking, they all went to Frogmore together, and Harry wrote verbatim exactly
immediately after Prince Philip's funeral.
Well, I just think that Harry is so focused on Harry that, you know, he never gave a thought to anything else. And I think, Prince Andrew could yet write his own biography. We don't know what he's going to do, but I don't think he would ever kind of talk about his family, the royal family, in that way because he's older. You know, he's been brought up a different way. I just find that Harry's whole outlook on this book was extraordinary, that he should be so disloyal, not only to his family, but to, you know, many other people that, you know, have passed through his life.
Indeed. And look, there's lots of problems with Prince Andrew. Of course, we talk regularly on the show about that situation too, because there's now an attempt to rehabilitate him. I think we can all agree that Prince Andrew's attendance at the coronation will not overshadow the coronation in the same way that the attendance of Harry and Meghan may well. But look, fascinating debate. That was Editor-in-Chief of Majesty Magazine. Glad we got you back, Ingrid Seward. The US royal commentator Kinsey Schofield and entertainment correspondent Rebecca Twomey. So who do you agree with there? With the royal family in a perpetual crisis over the Sussex situation, what's the best case scenario? Well, Vanessa on Twitter says they shouldn't attend because they can't be trusted. From Narinda, they both must and will attend. And George says invite Harry and Meghan, and if they turn it down, they can't turn it against you. Your verdict now, and so there's 3 choices here. Just 8% of you think Harry should attend alone, 9% of you think Harry and Meghan should both be at the coronation, but 83% of you, an overwhelming number, say neither of them should attend. And I have to say, I'm with you on that. Stay away.